You know that moment when you learn something that completely shatters the way you perceive life? Here are 7 books that have given me that exact feeling. First off, the Holy Quran, of course. There is a saying that even if you grew up in a Muslim household, you still have to find Islam on your own. And this is 100% true. Up until I was about 19, 20 years old, I was only Muslim because my family was Muslim. I grew up in a Muslim household, so I was like, okay, yeah, I'm Muslim. That's the only reason why. But then at about 19, 20, that's when I figured out that Islam was the truth. When I began studying other religions, I found that Islam is the truth. And that's when I became Muslim on my own terms, because I wanted to become Muslim, not because my parents were Muslim. And I feel like everyone has to go through that journey, even if you grew up in a Muslim household. You have to find Islam on your own, with your own terms. You have to believe it's the truth within your heart. And of course, the main miracle of Islam is the Quran, this book right here. And I remember reading this book when I was still, kind of in the middle, like trying to figure out, like, is Islam the truth? Like, what's going on? I remember reading the Quran, and all of a sudden I realized, okay, this is the truth. But Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is a prophet. And it was one of the most surreal moments ever, because there was a sigh of relief, like, okay, like I figured it out. I found the truth. But then there was now a new door that opened. It was like, okay, hold on. The hellfire is real. Heaven is real. The afterlife is real. The day of judgment is real. And that's what opened up like a whole new realm of reality. Like, shoot, like we're all gonna die and we're all gonna be judged. And a lot of us are gonna be going to the hellfire. And that was eye-opening and completely shattered my perception of life and how I view everything now. And I've read many books, but this book and only one other one that I'm gonna tell you later on this list are the only books that I've read more than once. Most of the time, I only read books once and I take extensive notes and I make sure I get everything I can out of that book the first time. Because I feel like reading a book for a second time, yes, you'll probably get more out of it, but I feel like if you get the main gist of it the first time, I think you'll be good. Because there's so many books out there to read, I don't think it's a wise use of time to read a book more than once. But this is the only book that I read multiple times. This book is perfect, 100%. It's the only perfect book in existence because it came from God. Every other book just simply cannot compare. If you want to read any book and shatter your perception of reality, this is the book you want to read. And the next book, Seneca on the Shortness of Life. And real quick, I'll make this disclaimer that not all these books I'm gonna show you are Islamic books. There are some books that I've read from other people who weren't Muslim at the time, or I don't know if they died Muslim or not, but they wrote amazing books that have helped me in my life. And I feel like it'd be wrong to discredit knowledge from someone else just because they're not Muslim. We can learn from anyone and everyone. As long as they have something valuable to teach you, I think you should learn from it. And of course, you need a strong foundation of Islam first to make sure that what they're teaching you doesn't go against Islam. But once you have the strong foundation of Islam, you can learn from other people and cross-reference and cross-check what they teach you. Does it go against the Quran and Sunnah or does it not? If it doesn't, then you can take it in and you can use it to benefit your life. Like I said earlier, there's only one other book that I've read more than once than the Quran, and it's this book right here. It's very short, but it's so profound and it's so good. Basically, what Seneca teaches in this book is that life isn't short. It's just you waste so much time, it becomes short. It feels short. Because if you think about it, if you go look at your screen time right now on your phone, it's probably up there in the hours, like 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 8 hours for some of you guys. So a whole third of your day is gone just to wasting time. So then the day feels short. Your life feels short. You're like, oh my God, it's a new year already. It's a new month. It's a new week. I'm already this age. Like, what's going on? Why is time going so fast? And what Seneca says is that it's not that life is short. It's just that you waste most of the time. So it just blows by you real quick and you have no idea where it went. Time is relentless. It's always leaving you. It's never going to stay with you. It's always leaving at this very moment. It's leaving you right now. That's what Seneca teaches in this book. And there are many, many, many paradigm shifts within this book that have helped me a lot. And I actually made a whole entire video on this book alone because that's how good it was and that's how much it helped me. And I want it to help you guys as well. So you can check that out. I'll link it in the description below. And now for the third book, it's sort of 7 books in one. It's Sahih Muslim. This is amazing. After you read and learn the Quran, the next thing to learn really is the Hadiths and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And these books are amazing to learn just that. It's a 7-volume book series just because it can't just be one huge big book. Like, it'd be too big of a book to try to put it all into one. So they cut it up into 7, but I'm gonna still count it as 1. So that's amazing. And you learn so much from these books and you learn so much things that are wrong and things that, you didn't know were wrong and things that you can do and things that can benefit your life. It's just jam packed with knowledge. Think about it. It's 7 books of just what the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said. There's so much knowledge in these books that you need to read. Next book that changed my perception on life, Masculinity of Muhammad ﷺ. This book basically taught me how to become a man. Because we often hear the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and we think of him as like this supernatural, like superhuman, like from outer space, like being that just isn't like me and you. But in reality, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was a regular human being. He just received revelation. That's it. So if you're looking for a male role model, Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is the perfect person to look to. There's no one else to look to. It's a better role model for you than him, peace and blessings be upon him. And also, you have to be very careful with picking your role models in this life and who you look up to. Because if you're looking up to someone who's destined to the hellfire, where do you think you're going to end up? You need to look for someone who's righteous, who's going down the right path, who can give you all the answers that you need. That's literally Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this book basically just encompasses all that. And you can apply all the principles within this book to better your life. I actually made an entire series on this book on my channel. It's a 7-part series where I just break down the entire book and I give you all the information within the book. So if you want to watch a video series on this book alone, then you can go check out my channel, and there's a playlist called The Masculinity of Muhammad. Peace and blessings be upon him. The next book is not from a Muslim author, from what I understand. It's called The One Thing. This book basically teaches you what's the one thing that you can do today that can change your life completely. So what's that one thing? Because there's always one thing that you can do that it will give you the most results, give you the most benefits in your life. So what's that one thing? First, you need to identify what that one thing is. And then you need to attack that one thing. Just complete it right away. As soon as you wake up, try to complete it. Try to get it done as soon as you can. Because that's the one thing that's going to change your life. So for example, if the one thing that you want to do in your life that you know is going to change your life completely is to get your perfect body, to get your dream physique, then the one thing you need to do is as soon as you wake up, go work out. Go do the workout right away, just so you know that you did what you had to do to get to your goal. Whatever happens later in the day doesn't matter, because you did what you had to do in the beginning. And you can use this with anything in your life. Like say for example, you want to memorize the entire Quran. That's the one thing that you want to do. So if you wake up and say give it 2 hours of memorizing the Quran every single morning, those 2 hours are going to compound and grow and grow and grow, and it's going to get you closer to that one thing, which is becoming a hafiz, memorizing the Quran. Really good book, and I would recommend it if you haven't read it yet. Next book, The History of the Quranic Text. This book was an eye-opener, because this book basically shows you how the Quran was preserved. And as Muslims, we already know the Quran was preserved. But just in case there's other people who doubt it or don't believe it, this book explains everything. Explains everything in perfect detail. It will show how the Bible wasn't preserved and neither was the Torah, and how the Quran was the only book that was perfectly preserved. And there's no question about that at all. So if you're looking for knowledge on the Quran and Islam, this is a really good book to read. Final book that completely opened my eyes and changed my perception of life was The Diseases of the Heart and Their Cures by Shaykh Ibn Taymiyyah. This book, multiple times reading through this book, you have to stop for a second and just like, whoa, like what did this guy just say? That's how good this book is. Like for example, one quote he said in this book is that whoever lowers their eyesight, meaning lower your gaze, for women and for men, lower your gaze. Whoever lowers their eyesight, Allah raises their insight. Subhanallah. So when you lower your eyesight, when you lower your gaze, Allah raises your insight. You see things like better. You see things clearly. And that's just one quote from this book. And there are multiple quotes like that within this book. And so he basically talks about all the diseases of the heart and their cures. And so a couple of diseases he talks about within this book are jealousy and like envy. And he goes into deep detail and explains how to get rid of this completely from your heart. Because when you have a pure heart, you get closer to Allah, inshallah. That's all I have for now. I know a lot of you guys have been asking for the books that I have and the books that I read and the books that have changed my life. And these are the top 7 books. So if you want to read any books that I've read that changed my life, these are the top 7 I would say. There are obviously way more books, and I can make more videos later in the future, inshallah. But these are the top 7 that I would recommend to anyone to start reading. I hope you enjoyed this video. I do have a private Discord for Muslim brothers who want to join. In there, all we talk about is improving our lives here and inshallah securing our afterlife as well. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, and I think you'll like this video as well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.